Persuasive essay. A persuasive essay is a writing piece in which the author tries to convince readers to agree with a particular stance or point of view. Persuasive essays can be written about any subject. For example, you can write a persuasive essay about your viewpoint on using cell phones in schools, wearing school uniforms, or even wearing a seatbelt in your car. A persuasive essay is one of the best ways to get others to understand your point of view. When writing a persuasive essay, you are forming an argument. You must present a logical argument to your audience and convince them to agree with a specific stance. When creating a persuasive essay, the first step is to select a subject. Then you must choose a side of the argument that you are going to defend. For example, on the subject of seatbelts, you would have to determine the points in question and the stance you would take on those points. What are the positive aspects of wearing a seatbelt? What are the negative aspects of wearing a seatbelt? Why is your stance more correct than the opposing stance? You must understand an issue well enough to construct a persuasive essay. To do this, you must not only understand your point of view, but you must also understand the opposite points of view. This is where research comes into play. When you are writing a persuasive essay, you are writing from the point of view of an expert, so you will have to gain knowledge about this subject. Look at the arguments that others have made about your side of the issue. Then look at the arguments of your opponents. The key to a successful persuasive essay is to counter your opponent's points inside your paper. To do this, you will need to know their arguments as well as you know your own. Once you fully understand the issue that you have chosen, you are ready to begin writing. Your introduction paragraph should contain your thesis statement. In one well-written sentence, you want to let your audience know your point of view. The thesis statement is the most important part of your paper. Everything else in the paper is based upon it. You must include 3 main points in your thesis statement: what you are writing about, the subject, why you are writing about it, the conflict, and what your position on the issue is, the opinion. Thesis statements need to be precise, focused, and clear-cut. Your thesis statement for wearing seatbelts would need to include the subject, universal laws for wearing seatbelts while in motor vehicles, the conflict, whether it should be a law or a personal choice, and the opinion, your belief that wearing seatbelts should be the law for all drivers and passengers in motor vehicles. Let's put these thoughts together into one thesis statement. Wearing seatbelts in motor vehicles should be mandated under the law in order to protect drivers and passengers, as well as the financial liability of other drivers in the event of an accident. In one sentence, the thesis statement covers everything that you need to persuade readers in the essay. From this thesis statement, readers have a clear idea about what you are going to discuss. Once you have crafted your thesis statement, you should follow up with at least 3 sentences in the introduction paragraph. These sentences should include the key talking points that you will discuss in the following body paragraphs. Going back to the seatbelt example, your research should uncover your state's laws on wearing a seatbelt, the need for safety while traveling in a vehicle, and perhaps some crash statistics that illustrate how seatbelts save lives. Your body paragraphs need to reflect the research that you have done. Each point you have made will have its own paragraph of about 5 sentences. Content in a persuasive essay is important. When writing a persuasive essay, research is a key factor in creating an argument. For example, if you were researching seatbelt laws in the state of Pennsylvania, you may have come across the PA Driver's Manual. Combine the research you have done on both sides of the argument to create your own argument. The first body paragraph in your persuasive essay may state something like this: when a vehicle is involved in a collision, the vehicle stops, but the driver and passengers inside the vehicle continue to move at the same speed. Seatbelts are designed to keep a person in place and inside the vehicle. Even the strongest people cannot protect themselves from the force of an accident. Serious injuries can occur at only 12 miles per hour. While 12 miles per hour is not very fast, a person wearing a seatbelt is safer than a person not wearing one. A good rule to follow when writing a persuasive essay is this: each point that you make in your thesis statement and introduction paragraph should have its own paragraph, which is supported by your research. The concluding paragraph is the last paragraph of your essay. Conclusions in essays show a carefully constructed argument and illustrate that your argument has been based on facts and evidence. The conclusion should restate your thesis and main points of interest, summarizing the argument for the audience. Here is a sample conclusion paragraph about wearing seatbelts. Wearing seatbelts saves lives. Seatbelts support drivers and passengers during a collision, keeping them inside the vehicle and strapped firmly to the seat. Studies have shown that even a collision at 12 miles per hour can cause serious injuries. These injuries not only affect the person who is injured, but they also affect other drivers through insurance and medical costs. Wearing a seatbelt is currently the law in Pennsylvania, and it should remain this way. Some may argue that this law costs them their personal freedom of choice not to wear a seatbelt. But wearing seatbelts has an economic effect on other drivers on the road, and not just your own safety. As such, the other drivers on the road, as well as yourself, are more important than your personal freedom of choice. To review, select a topic and write a thesis statement that displays your reasoning and research as part of your introduction paragraph. Write at least 3 other sentences in your introduction, explaining the points that you will discuss in your body paragraphs. Use your body paragraphs to elaborate on the points from your introduction. Write a conclusion that ties all of your points together and convinces the audience to agree with you. Follow these steps, and you will be convincing others to agree with your stance on the issue in no time.